A very good morning, viewers. You're watching Quick Morning with me, Deepak Suresh Kumar. We'll get you an overview of what's happening in the country, across the world, across different sectors, sports, entertainment, and also business. Let's get started. The Karnataka High Court is scheduled to pronounce its verdict today on the writ petition filed by RTI activist Snehama Krishna seeking a direction to transfer the Muda site allotment case to the CBI. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah is facing allegations of illegalities in the allotment of 14 sites to his wife Parvati by the Mysuru Urban Development Authority. The court is also scheduled to pronounce its verdict on a petition filed by former Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa, in which he has been booked under the provisions of the Indian Penal Code as well as the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. Yediyurappa, after protesters stormed Mujibur Rahman's home in Dhaka, MEA spokesperson condemned the incident while expressing shock over the attack. And the attack was sparked by a speech Hasina planned to give to supporters from exile in neighbouring India, where she fled last year during a deadly student-led uprising against her 15-year rule. The Punjab ruling AAP accused the centre of treating the state stepmotherly and also asked why the US aircraft that brought back 104 illegal Indians immigrants landed in Amritsar and not Delhi. Of those deported, 33 each are from Haryana and Gujarat, 30 are from Punjab, 3 each from Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh and 2 from Chandigarh. NRI Affairs Minister Kuldeep Singh Dhaliwal condemned the mistreatment of deportees, terming it gross human rights violations. He also termed the choice of Amritsar airport for deportation as politically motivated.
पहली बात तो उनको अवैध भारतीय कहना ही अपने आप में गलत है। वो रोजगार की मार की वजह से भारत की धरती छोड़ के रोजगार की तलाश में विदेशी धरती पर गए। वो कोई आतंकवादी नहीं है, वो कोई अपराधी नहीं है। उनको हमारी सरकार, भारत की सरकार जो 2 करोड़ नौकरी हर साल देने का वादा करती है, वो उनको नौकरी नहीं दे पाई। इसके कारण वो लोग यहाँ से गए।
The Office of External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar responded to a letter from the Jammu and Kashmir Students Association regarding Abdul Rafi Baba, a Kashmiri engineer imprisoned in Saudi Arabia. Vibhuti Nath Pandey, Under Secretary at the Ministry of External Affairs, informed that consular access has been granted to Baba on several occasions, with the latest visit scheduled for September 11th. And during these visits, he communicated that he remains in regular contact with his family and reported no issues regarding his health, food or shelter. Baba faces charges related to cyber crimes linked to terror activities and allegedly circulating objectionable videos on social media. The new bill replacing the 6-decade-old Income Tax Act is likely to be discussed at the cabinet meeting today. As claimed by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, the new income tax bill will be simple to understand and will reduce litigation. And this bill will incorporate all the tax-related changes announced in the union budget this year, including income tax rates, slabs and TDS provisions. In a successful operation, the Assam's Special Task Force raided a residence in Dekia Juli, resulting in the arrest of 3 individuals and the recovery of illegal firearms. The raid was conducted following credible intelligence inputs about illicit arms trafficking. During the operation, the STF also seized a significant haul of illegal weapons and various other items. And the recovered goods also included 3 mobile phones, a Bolero car and a Royal Enfield motorcycle. The investigation continues as authorities work to unravel further details about the suspects' network and activities. Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan stepped up his attack on the Congress and opposition members for criticizing the draft UGC regulations. He alleged that they were twisting progressive educational reforms into imaginary threats to sustain their outdated political narratives. The comments came after LOP Rahul Gandhi alleged that the regulations were an attempt to push RSS's agenda to achieve its idea of imposing done history, one tradition, one language on the country.
देखिए, कांग्रेस पार्टी की नेता तथा नेता प्रतिपक्ष की भारत की इतिहास के बारे में, भारत की भाषा के बारे में, भारत की संवैधानिक व्यवस्था के बारे में कोई सम्मान नहीं है, कोई समझ भी नहीं है। क्या वो जानते हैं, वो कहते हैं कि हम राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति की विरोध करते हैं। क्या वो जानते हैं कि राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति में ही भारतीय भाषाओं को महत्व दिया गया है, पढ़ाने की और पढ़ने की व्यवस्था की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं।
Now viewers, let's get you an inside track on what's exactly happening in the world of business, from Zomato to Nissan's stocks going up and Honda's plummeting. Here are the top business stories that you need to watch. Zomato India Limited, one of India's leading food delivery giants, has announced a change in its corporate name. The company's board of directors approved the decision on February 6, 2025 to rename Zomato Limited to Eternal Limited, and this includes amendments to the company's memorandum and articles of association to reflect the new name. The food aggregator services will also continue to operate under the name Zomato, while the new corporate entity will also include 4 verticals. EPFO has processed over 5.08 crore claims totaling to 2.05 lakh crores in the financial year 24 and 25, surpassing the 4.45 crore claims worth 1.82 lakh crore rupees settled in 23-24, and this marks a notable increase in settlement of claims. Labour Minister Mansukh Mandavi attributed this achievement to several reforms introduced by EPFO to improve the claims process and also reduce member grievances. And these also include expanding the categories of auto-settled claims, simplifying member profile changes, streamlining provident fund transfers, and also enhancing KYC compliance. The RBI is expected to reduce the repo rate by 25 basis points in its upcoming monetary policy announcement on February 7th. The report suggested that inflation, which remains the primary focus of monetary policy, is showing signs of moderation, allowing the RBI to consider a rate cut. And the report also highlighted that inflationary pressures have also been eased, mainly due to a decline in the prices of essential vegetables such as tomatoes, onions, and potatoes. The improved supply of these items have contributed to lower price volatility in the consumer price index. Nissan Motor Corporation has decided to halt its merger discussions with Honda Motor Company following a proposal by the latter to make Nissan a subsidiary. The two companies had initially signed an MOU in December to explore integration, but differences between them grew, particularly regarding the structure of the deal. Honda insists that any merger would require Nissan to become its subsidiary, but Nissan plans to formally withdraw from the discussions at a board meeting before it announces its third quarter earnings next week. And this decision comes after months of talks aimed at creating the world's third largest automaker through a holding company. China announced a tranche of export controls, retaliatory tariffs on some American imports, and placed 2 American companies on an unreliable entities list on Wednesday after a sweeping levy on Chinese products imposed by US President Donald Trump took effect. Beijing said it would implement a 15% tariff on coal and liquefied natural gas products, as well as 10% tariff on crude oil, agriculture machinery, and large engine cars imported from the US. Moving on, we are also tracking the pulse abroad with the top international stories that you need to follow. Amid an uptick in anti-Semitic attacks that have shaken Australia with vandalism, arsons, and attack on Jewish communities, Australia's federal lawmakers have unanimously advanced hate crime legislation emphasizing the need for punitive measures, and these measures approved by the lawmakers will create new and bolstered hate crime offences protecting a raft of characteristics including race, religion, and also gender. And the laws include mandatory minimum sentences for terror offences and display of hate symbols. Other penalties include a minimum of 3 years of imprisonment for financing terrorism and 6 years for planning terror acts.
The government has pursued these changes because we are very concerned about the rise of anti-Semitism in our community. We want to send an unambiguous and clear message that civic society and the New South Wales government oppose it in all circumstances. But I want to make it equally clear that the suite of reforms that we are introducing will apply to everybody. Racism has no place in modern Australia. This legislation applies to all people of all faiths. It is never okay to attack, to demean, to incite hatred or fear against a fellow Australian.
US President Donald Trump announced a series of faith-based initiatives today which included an order targeting anti-Christian bias. He said that with the formation of a new task force, all forms of anti-Christian targeting and discrimination within the federal government would be halted. And Trump's comments echoed remarks he made in December 2023 in which he promised that if re-elected, he would create a federal task force aimed at fighting Christian bias.
To confront such weaponization and religious persecution, today I'm signing an executive order to make our Attorney General, who's a great person, she's going to be a great Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the head of a task force, brand new, to eradicate anti-Christian bias. About time, right? Anti-Christian bias. Yeah, you never heard of that one before, right? But it's about time, isn't it though, really? So many times you hear, but you don't hear the anti-Christian bias.
Troops cordoned off a crash site in southern Philippines after a US military contracted plane plummeted to the ground, killing all 4 people on board. After the bodies were retrieved from the wreckage, police confirmed that 4 foreign nationals had lost their lives. As police continue to investigate the reason behind the crash, more details are awaited. UN's deputy spokesperson for the Secretary General Farhan Haq said that the South Kordofan and Blue Nile states in Sudan are on the brink of a catastrophe as escalating violence claims more civilian lives. She also urged all sides to the conflict in Sudan to de-escalate tensions, protect civilian and civilian infrastructure, and allow humanitarian organizations safe and unrestricted access to those in need. And the civilian death toll in South Kordofan's capital, Kadugli, has risen to 80 following recent shelling. A small group of protesters gathered outside the US consulate in Istanbul to denounce US President Donald Trump's recent comments on a proposal for an American takeover of Gaza.
Sudan, the resident and humanitarian coordinator in the country, Clementine Nkweta Salami, warned today that South Kordofan and Blue Nile states are on the brink of catastrophe, as the violence there continues to escalate at an alarming rate. As of yesterday, the civilian death toll following recent shelling in South Kordofan's capital, Kadugli, had increased to 80, with some 3 dozen others injured.
A small group of protesters gathered outside the US consulate in Istanbul to denounce US President Donald Trump's recent comments on a proposal for an American takeover of Gaza. Around 25 demonstrators stood in front of the police barricades, chanting slogans in support of Palestinians and holding up signs depicting Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Trump made comments on Gaza in a meeting with Netanyahu, where he gave a proposal for relocating the Palestinians so that his administration can restore the war-ravaged territory. The first US military flight deporting migrants from the United States to Guantanamo Bay landed in Cuba after US Secretary Rubio signed an agreement with Guatemala's over immigration crackdown. The agreement follows Trump administration's priority of a crackdown on immigration, which has been there since Team Trump's inauguration. The head of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees said that an Israeli ban on the institution has not forced it to halt its services so far, but that in the long run, the agency faces an existential threat. And this comes after Israel last week formally banned UNRWA from operating on its territory. Refuting the ban, he said that in Gaza and the West Bank, there had been no immediate impact on the agency's operations. UNRWA provides aid and services including health and education to some 2.5 million Palestinian refugees in Gaza and the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, being the main lifeline for a population reliant on humanitarian aid.
In the long term, the risk is the erosion of the operation space that slowly but surely our activities will decrease, that the operation be strangulated, and that ultimately the agency is not in a position to properly deliver education services, primary health services to the population in Gaza.
Panamanian President Jose Raul Mulino denied the U.S. State Department's claim that his country had reached a deal allowing U.S. warships to transit the Panama Canal for free. Mulino said that he had already told U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth that he could neither set the fees to transit the canal nor exempt anyone from them, and that he was surprised by Hegseth's statement suggesting otherwise. The differing versions came just days after Rubio met with Mulino and passed a message from US President Donald Trump that China's influence at the canal was unacceptable. Welcome back, viewers. Let's now quickly take a look at what's happening in the world of sports. India registered a 4-wicket win against England in the series opener. The hosts now lead the 3-match ODI series 1-0. Shubman Gill, Shreyas Iyer and Akshar Patel guided India during a commanding chase. Indian cricket legend Sachin Tendulkar met President Draupadi Murmu along with his wife Anjali Tendulkar and daughter Sara Tendulkar at the Rashtrapati Bhavan in the national capital. Tendulkar also presented the president with a signed test jersey during the visit to the nation's highest office. Virat Kohli missed the first India vs England ODI due to a sore right knee. BCCI said in an official update that Kohli was unavailable for selection in the first ODI, and injuries have been a rarity for Virat Kohli, who is a benchmark in terms of fitness. In fact, this is the first time since South Africa vs India test in Johannesburg, which was played in January 22nd, that Virat Kohli has suffered an injury. Mystery spinner Varun Chakravarti was nominated for ICC Men's Player of the Month for January following a stellar outing against England in the recent 5-match T20I series. Chakravarti bagged 14 wickets from 5 matches at an excellent average at 9.85 and at an economy rate of 7.66. His efforts contributed immensely to T20 World Champions India clinching the home series 4-1. Indian spinner Ravindra Jadeja reached the elusive milestone of 600 wickets in international cricket during the first ODI of the 3-match series against England in Nagpur. Jadeja has become just the 5th Indian bowler and 4th Indian spinner to reach 600 wickets across 3 formats. He follows the likes of Anil Kumble, Ravichandran Ashwin, Harbhajan Singh and Kapil Dev as the Indian bowlers to take 600 international wickets. West Indies have announced their home and away schedule for men and women's teams for the year 2025. West Indies men will be playing Ireland, England and Australia in a space of 2 months in a restless schedule. Following the IPL, West Indies will be going on a tour of the United Kingdom, which begins with 3 ODIs against Ireland on May 21st. 3 ODIs against Ireland will be followed by 3 ODIs and 3 T20s against England from May 29th to June 10th. In a major development for Australian cricket team ahead of the Champions Trophy, it was confirmed that skipper Pat Cummins has been ruled out of the marquee tournament. Furthermore, ace pacer Josh Hazlewood won't be available as well. Australia's seam bowling all-rounder Marcus Stoinis has surprisingly announced his retirement from ODIs with immediate effect, bringing the end of his international 50-over career at 74 games. Cricket Australia said that Stoinis will continue to be available for selection in T20Is, adding that his decision to retire from the 50-over format is to focus on the shorter format of the game, the T20 International. Now it's time for us to get a sense of what's happening in the world of entertainment. Cynthia Erivo, the Wicked star, was celebrated as Harvard University's Hasty Pudding Theatrical's Woman of the Year. She endured a string of comedians that made bad jokes about Wicked being long before they were forced off the stage. The actor later took part in a finger painting contest, scratching out an abstract painting of what was supposed to be her co-star Ariana Grande. Irv Gotti, a music mogul who founded Murder Inc. Records and was behind major hip-hop and R&B artists such as Ashanti and Ja Rule, has died. He was 54 years, and Def Jam Recordings, which was the parent company of Murder Inc., announced Gotti's death. In a statement late Wednesday night, it did not give a cause of death. Gotti, whose real name is Irving Lorenzo, founded Murder Inc. with his brother in the late 1990s, with the label gaining worldwide prominence through platinum-selling artists Ashanti and Ja Rule. Gotti had also worked with artists DMX, Fat Joe and Jay-Z, among other huge names in the genre. Royal Mail is releasing a special set of stamps celebrating legendary rock band AC/DC. 50 years on from the release of their groundbreaking debut album High Voltage, the Australian rockers will be honoured with a set of 12 stamps, and the main set of 8 stamps captures some of their most iconic live performances, while a further 4 stamps presented in a miniature sheet features the covers of 4 iconic AC/DC audio albums: High Voltage, Highway to Hell, Back in Black and Power Up. That was the order from on high as the Metropolitan Museum of Art revealed the dress code for its annual lavish celebration of fashion in May, tailored for you, a nod to the accompanying exhibit's focus on suiting and menswear, calling it a suitable concept meant to be liberally interpreted. For the first Met Gala exhibit in more than 20 years to focus exclusively on menswear, specifically black style in menswear over the centuries. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin. Stay tuned for all the roundup of the latest happenings from across the world, across the nation, sports, entertainment, as well as business. After a quick break, stay tuned.